Honorable Ambassador Jose Cuisia and his wife Victoria, Ambassador of the Republic of Philippines to the United States of America, the Honorable Martin Heinrich, United States Senator for New Mexico, the Honorable Steve Pierce, United States Representative for New Mexico. We are also pleased to have with us here today veterans, including those from World War II, the Korean War, Vietnam, Desert Storm, and the recent conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give them all a big Warriors welcome. And now, it gives me great pleasure to introduce a special group. The Wounded Warriors are made up of Iraq, Afghanistan, and Vietnam veterans who have lost limbs or suffered serious injuries in those conflicts and are here marching with us today. Let's hear it for those great soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines.
I know. I was too.
The Bataan Memorial Death March honors a remarkable group of World War II heroes, the brave soldiers responsible for the defense of the Philippines. The conditions they encountered during combat and the aftermath were horrific. They fought in a malaria-infested region, surviving on quarter rations, with little or no medical help. They fought with outdated equipment and virtually no air power. On April 9th of 1942, tens of thousands of American and Filipino soldiers were surrendered to Japanese forces. The Americans were Army, Army Air Corps, Navy, and Marines. They were marched for days in the scorching heat through Philippine jungles. Thousands died. Those who survived faced the atrocities of prison of war camps. Many were wounded or killed when unmarked enemy ships transporting them to Japan were sunk by unknowing U.S. air and naval forces. And thus is the story of Bataan. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to welcome to the podium your host, White Sands Missile Range Commander, Brigadier General Timothy Coffin.
Good morning! Welcome to White Sands. What a fantastic day to be out here for a march today. To our attending survivors and families, our wounded warriors, Ambassador, Senator Heinrich, Congressman Pierce, our other distinguished guests, all 6,000 of you marchers, you are our distinguished guests here today. Thank you for being here for this important and reverent day. You know, following the surrender on Bataan in April 9th of 1942, more than 70,000 Filipino and American troops were forced to make that 65-mile march. We're not going to make you do 65 miles here today. But you will begin to feel some of the pain, some of the agony, some of the burn that went on in those march. You know, this year we will meet about that same number of marchers that we've had at the Bataan Death March here Memorial as we're on that original march. So thank you for being part of this commemoration of keeping that spirit alive. Today we have 10 American survivors here sitting in front of you that stand as a living testament to the memory of Bataan. They faced the physical and spiritual hardships that for many were too great to bear. Of the approximate 1,800 men from New Mexico's 200th and 515th Coastal Artillery Regiment that were deployed to the Philippines in 1941, only 900 returned back to the United States at the end of the war. Bataan took a heavy toll on the state here of New Mexico. The same is true for the Philippines. a U.S. Commonwealth at the time whose many thousands of soldiers fought alongside our own forces in defense of their homeland. The Bataan Death March began and will continue to be a way to honor those who perished and those who lived through that horrific chapter of World War II. The legacy of the march, which has brought us here today, keeps its history alive and ensures the sacrifices made and lessons learned are not forgotten. To date, about 72,000 marchers have participated in this march, and for the 6,000 of you that are here today, take a moment to picture a crowd 10 times this size, weary, wounded, without food, being forced to march nearly 2.5 times the distance that you will face today. I guarantee that each and every one of you will leave this event with a deep respect for the heroes who did, in the name of freedom, liberty, and peace, sacrifice such a great toll. As you march today, to thank these great Americans and all those who are no longer with us here, also think about the soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines that are serving today that are far from home, doing what the nation requires. I also ask that you take time to thank the hundreds of volunteers that are here today along the route, whose tireless efforts make this march possible each year. This is a family and morale and welfare recreation event co-sponsored by the New Mexico Military Guard, National Guard, and the New Mexico State University ROTC. And it also has 80 additional supporting organizations and sponsors. The proceeds from this memorial march go to support the organization and programs for military personnel, their families, and others who are in need. So as you step off today on the march, I ask that you reflect on the lives lost, the survivors of Bataan, what they endured, the thoughts that went through their minds, and the bonds that were pivotal for them to survive.